Hello, everybody. Lorenda Carr here. Not daily vibe check, but life update. So I'm hoping probably the next week or so to get back to daily vibe check. I'm kind of missing it. I still pull my cards every day, but I just haven't had it in me to do videos. So I thought I would at least give you an update about what's kind of transpired. Not because I want not because I want the attention on me, oh, feel bad for me, feel bad, whatever. It's not about that. I just feel like there's a bigger lesson here. And I know some of you that watch are mediums, clairvoyants, psychics, feel things. And so I'd love some feedback if you feel like you want to offer it. So in my last video, I talked about how my dad died last Thursday. So it's been exactly 7 days. And I was super angry. Not because he died, but because he wasn't man enough to make things right. He was truly, truly a horrible, horrible person. He he molested me as a kid. He, from what I'm going to protect the privacy of other people, but I know for a fact he violated a number of other people. Guess how many days he spent in jail or arrested or in front of anyone to hold him accountable? Zero. It was just part of being, growing up in the 70s and 80s. You just didn't talk about those things. You shove them on the rug, Anyway, so on top of that, he was violent. I'm pretty sure all 4 of his wives had a gun held to their head at some point or was threatened with a gun. He sent hateful emails. He sent hateful messages and text messages. And I cut him out a long time ago because it was the day I wished him happy birthday. He kind of turned the tables on me and turned into this psychotic person. So a long time ago, I said, okay, this is no longer healthy. It was never healthy. But, you get to be a big person. You're like, okay, well, you have to move on somehow. Moved on. And of course, he's the victim, right? So, and I'm not, there's a point to all this. I'm not saying it because those things are necessarily the point of my video. So, and also, I had, just for fun, I've been pulling my cards every day. So the main card that I pulled today was the Chariot, which is you're in control of your own destiny. You can choose your path. And I choose the path of educating today and sharing. Now, there's so many more layers to this. I'm not going to go into it, but so many more layers of the past. So needless to say, knowing this man is so horrible, my stepdad, I tell people, I refer to people like that's my dad because he's been there since I was in high school and he's been the father in my life. And before that, it was my grandfather. So I've had 2 amazing men in my life that have really helped shape who I am as an adult. So good riddance to him. And I felt bad. I cried because I felt bad that I didn't feel bad, not because he actually died. So let me give you a little bit more. I get a phone call that he died. He was crushed in an elevator. He was a repairman, he owned his own business. He was showing up to a place, doing regular maintenance on an elevator. What I was initially told was way different than what actually happened. And actually, for those of you who live in Indiana, kind of local central Indiana, you may have actually heard about this. It was on the news. It's been on the news every day for 7 days. But because they use his actual name instead of the name that we all go by, that we all know him by, I'm not sure that many people know that it's him, other than like what we've told. I literally haven't called a single soul to say that he died. No, that's not true. My best friend and my aunt, because I knew we'd all be popping champagne bottles. I know that sounds terrible. But when a demon walks the earth, and when a horrible human walks the earth that violates people and has no remorse and is a victim, you move on. So horrible thing, because this was actually, I'm thinking, okay, oh my God, this is kind of terrible for the people that had to like get him out. We don't know. From what I understood, he suffered for a really long time before they got him out, and he ultimately died at the hospital. This is my initial, what I heard. Then, thanks to the local reporting of the news, I found out what really happened. He, also background, he's a Catholic, meaning he grew up in Catholic, church, maybe schools, I think mostly just church. And like, when he needed to feel better about his actions, he'd go confess it, maybe because he could be forgiven, no problem. Like, he was that guy. Made all Catholics look terrible. He was also that Catholic that just for show purposes, so people in this church like would think, oh my gosh, he's such a great dad, had me as a little kid go get communion, and I have no idea what it was, and I'd never been through classes. Like, it was just all for show. Backing up or moving forward here. So he was actually killed repairing an elevator. In a Catholic school. Had the judge taken it seriously, had the people taken it seriously, back when I went to my mom tried to get us help and figure out, like, when I was like, no, he did this to me. Had society and all the professionals been responsible, just like they are now, like there's a lot more in place now, thank goodness, he'd gone to jail. He would have it on his record. He would never have been let into a Catholic school, but he wasn't held accountable. So now, okay, so he ends up in this Catholic school to do regular maintenance. And gives way and crushes him. He yelled out, and he actually, so that tells me he did not die right away. He was calling for help. EMS got there within 15 minutes. Jaws of life got him out. He was unresponsive by the time they got him out. Understandable. But he didn't actually die until he got to the hospital. He was pronounced dead officially around 1 o'clock is what the article said. I have not been given the information as to like exactly what the coroner's report says. I'm not really sure. I was just told around 1 o'clock. I got a random phone call at 12:53 before I knew anything, or 12:52 before I knew anything about this. He has not been on my radar for a while before I knew any of this. And it was just silent. It was 13 seconds, which my birthday's on the 13th, by the way. 13 seconds, dead silence, not someone in the background, not trying to make a connection, just dead silence. And it was a local number. So I thought maybe it could be a client or someone trying to reach out, to get a hold of me because I own a business. Okay, so I kind of gave it a second, hung up. Turns out that's almost right. That's about when he died. Okay. So I'm talking to my daughter, who also went to Catholic school and is also a research freak and prides herself on random knowledge. She's like, oh, I said, I wonder who now that I'm sitting here thinking about it, I wonder what Saint Gabriel is the patron saint of, because I'd never heard of him. I knew Archangel Gabriel, but I didn't know there was a patron Saint Gabriel. So she's like, please hold. And then she goes, okay, interesting. Patron saint of Catholic children. Very specific. He wasn't actually a Catholic, like he was a Passionist, which is interesting. But Catholic children, students, learners, people in university. So basically, so there are pilgrimages in Italy where people getting ready to graduate high school or college will come to the temple where he is buried and or consecrated, and pray that they do well in their finals so they graduate. I'm like, that's pretty awesome. So makes sense. St. Gabriel Catholic school. He is also known in life to have saved a woman from being raped. He is also the patron saint of sexual assault victims. Now, all this very interesting. I'm like, that's kind of very interesting, mind blowing. And then she says, oh, wait, there's more. And of course, she's like 19, so she does one of these. Oh my God. And I'm like this. Okay, what? She says, his nickname, because he was kind of, before he went into religious life, he was kind of a ladies' man, good looking dude, player. He also died at 23, so he was still young. His nickname, he was known as the Dancer. For those of you who don't know, Thursday, April 29th, the day he died, I was celebrating at my dance studio because I'm a dance teacher. We were celebrating International Dance Day. I can't make this up. I can't make this up. So and I find this out literally like 2 days ago. So I didn't go into the weekend knowing this. This was 2 days ago when I was talking to my daughter. And so I'm taking all this in. But so let's go back to last week. Those of you that know, I'm a medium. Last thing I wanted was for him to die and come to me. No, you don't get to come to me. If you're not going to come to me in life, you don't get to come to me in death. And so I just kept saying, do not come to me. Do not invade my space. You need to go where you belong. And it's not going to be in a pretty place on the other side. I don't necessarily live in hell, but I know that when we transition, it takes about 72 hours for our cord to sever from our ethereal body. And then before we cross over and have to reevaluate our lives and experience fully and wholly everything that we did to everyone in our lives, positive and negative, as well as the ripple effect on every single person that affects. He's going to be in his little cocoon, experiencing everything that he did to other people. I don't know, probably for 100 years, like 100 Earth years. It's going to be a long time. So I was like, do not, while you're here, if you're still attached to your ethereal body, do not, I don't want to hear from you. You don't have the right to talk to me. And so naturally I'm driving. Yeah, I was driving to St. Louis for a dance competition. I was judging a dance competition this past weekend. And it occurred to me, I didn't even realize where I was. I was talking to my best friend. I was kind of explaining to her what was going on, kind of decompressing. She's reminding me of a lot of things that she remembers. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I blocked that out. he's even worse than I thought he was, like remembered him being, and just kind of just really help in the trenches with me, basically, kind of reviewing everything. And I look up, just happen to look up, and I see a sign for Cataract Lake. That is where we grew up camping with my dad and his family. More his family than my dad, because my dad was hardly ever around after they got divorced. So I hadn't thought about that place in so long. And I always forget like how to get, I forget you have to like take the same, like take 70 to get there. It's one of the ways you can go. Blocked it out. I look up and there's a new big giant sign, Cataract Lake. I'm like, interesting. Shared with my friend. So then moved on. All right. Now I go to bed that night. I checked in, and I make sure to be like, seriously, do not bother me. I've got to get up early in the morning. Do not bother me. I don't want to hear from you. Just as I'm in that almost asleep, it's that theta level sleep that when I do hypnosis, that's where I get people to go. So you're in that dreamlike, but not quite asleep place. And that's when spirits can communicate with you best. I hear in my ear, he used to do this. Snap. Waking me up. I like opened my eyes, and I was really on the verge. It was that point where my whole body had that electric shock feeling as I'm being yanked out of sleep, and I was mad. I told him, no, you don't get to do this. Get out. I slept sound as a baby, like, well, I don't know how a sound baby sleep, but I slept really hard after that. So I get up, do the competition the next day, get through the whole day. And then that night, hanging out in like the little restaurant there in the hotel with some of the other staff members from the competition, talking to one of them. And I was like, wait, you're from Indiana then, right? She's like, yeah, Kokomo. I'm like, oh my gosh, I know people from up there. So we start talking, and one thing leads to another. I'm like, wait, okay, so do you know that, I named these people? And she's like, I said, these are, that's my daughter's god family. Like they've helped me with her. She's 28 now. Like they came into her life when she was 2. She called them mom and dad, and their children, there are 3 children, or there are 3 children. And like, those were her god brothers and sisters. Like that's just brother and sisters. So I was like, oh my gosh. So you probably know the da-da-da. And she's like, oh yeah, I just saw Gabriel the other day. I'm like, Gabriel? Gabe? Like that's one of the children, her god brother. I've never, ever in my life called him Gabriel. It didn't even occur to me that was his name, because even when he was in trouble, he got called Gabe. Called him Gabe. And she's like, shows me a picture, whips out a picture. I haven't seen him in years, like since he was a kid. I have not seen that man. He's now a grown man since he was a little kid. So I'm like, I didn't think anything of this, because keep in mind, at this point, I didn't know that my dad died at St. Gabriel's. No idea. I thought he died at a construction site or at a commercial site in some other town, according to my aunt. So I'm like, not thinking anything of it. I'm like, oh my gosh, yeah, crazy. Okay, cool. Glad to see he's doing well. Great. My kids, our kids play together. So we have a whole conversation about that. Moving on. So I am super busy all day Sunday, exhausted Sunday night, go to leave Monday morning to go home from St. Louis. Oh, pardon me. Oh. And then uneventful, for the most part, like I said, Sunday, Monday morning, get all my stuff together. I packed some heavier than normal things in my little bag. And so I had my computer bag, I had my dance bag, because you never leave home without your tap shoes when you're a tap dancer. I don't know. Yeah. So I had that on top of that. Like I was going to put a single tap shoe on this whole weekend, but I guess you never know. Then I had my suitcase that is on rollers, so it's no big deal that I overpacked it. It was kind of heavy. Still kind of weighed down a little bit, right? So I get downstairs and I parked because I had my husband's car, which is nice, in the very bottom of the parking garages, like the bottom floor of the parking garages, because everyone tries to, side note, when you park in a hotel parking garage, don't just try to park on their main level and like squeeze your car into these tiny ass little places. That's dumb. You will get your door dinged. Go to the bottom. No one ever thinks to go down to the bottom level. So I go down to the bottom level. There's an elevator on all of them. It's literally no different. Unless your dad died in an elevator, then you get this garbage. So, I mean, it'd been working fine all weekend, right? So I check out, I go downstairs, check out, and I go to the parking garage elevator, so I can go down to the bottom floor. Sorry for the inconvenience, but the elevator's out of service. I am pretty confident I was cursing out loud, calling him all the names. I don't think anyone else was around me, but I was pissed. I'm like, you do not get to break elevators just to tell me you're here. Wrong-o, bucko. I was serious. Stay away. So I ended up having to truck all my luggage downstairs to the bottom level. No big deal. Got a good arm workout, but not the point. So there's all that. And then I find out after the fact on Monday that he actually died at St. Gabriel's. So that's where I am right now. And if you've stayed this long with me, congratulations and thank you. I truly appreciate you all being patient with me, stepping away from Daily Vibe Check for a little bit. It's been a crazy ride emotionally, because even though I could care less that he died, I think the world, at the risk of sounding horrible, I wish his spirit well once it recovers and he learns his lessons and he can move to the other side, all the way to the other side. But he can no longer hurt anyone. And I fully believe that either St. Gabriel, God, somebody came in and said, oh, you think you're going to work in a Catholic school, Mr. Catholic man, child molester? Don't think so. He was working on fiance number 5, who had grandkids. So for me, I believe he was divinely stopped. And while I'll never I'll know someday, I guess, when I cross over, it just makes me feel like someone finally held him accountable. And I don't have to feel like I need to do that. But I still will suffer the consequences for a very long time of his behavior and the trickle-down effect to my brothers and I. Oh, side note, he redid his will in 2017 and took my brother and I, my youngest brother and I, out because we quit talking to him. Because every time we did, he was horrible, like not just a little, like horrible, speaking to me mostly, like just saying really horrible things, to the point where the last time I spoke to him, I couldn't speak to anyone for 3 days. All I did was hand my husband the phone and say, here, like, and my husband read all the messages, and I just went to bed for 3 days. I couldn't function. After all the forgiving I had done, and even though he had been horrible, it's like, well, I'm the better Christian. I'm the better person if I forgive him. Wrong. Feeling like that doesn't work that way. The trickle-down effect was insane. My youngest brother decided to, after that happened, cut him out. Be like, I'm done. You can't treat people that way, and you'll certainly not be involved in my life and at the risk of treating my family that way as well. My other brother, I don't know, he's got his daddy issues. I'm sure it sounds like, and so he's kept in touch with him. So my dad made sure to make my middle brother the sole beneficiary to anything that he had. Now, I have no idea if he had anything. No clue. I doubt it. He was pretty irresponsible. He was also a thief. He would steal from people regularly, including his own parents and family members, and then turn it on them and threaten their lives. Like, can't say it enough. He was an evil person. And I hope that in spirit he is cleansed of that and he's able to move to that higher vibration. When that happens, he's welcome to come to me and apologize. I have a feeling he's going to be there a while. It may be a minute before I see that. So I appreciate you listening to me vent, giving me the space that I need to process all this, and also process the unearthing of literally everything that resulted from his existence in my life. The trickle-down effect of me, the relationship with me, my family, my grandparents, my brothers, my mom, like boyfriends, my ex-husband, my children, and their relationships as a result of the way I am, as a result of the way I was connected to him. So just keep in mind, if you're a parent, what you do and say matters. No one expects perfection, but what you do and say matters. And someday you do have to atone for that. And I think right now, that's exactly what he's doing. And I hope to all things that are holy and glorious and wonderful that he stays away. Because that to me is part of his punishment, is that he does not get to see or be around me in life or death. So I'm hoping that once I kind of move through some of this emotion and pack, I'm not going to pack anything else away. It's not going to get packed away. It's getting unpacked, energetically released, in letting it flow through and out me instead of packing away like I'm a storage unit. So when I get in a better vibrational place, I'll be back. I'll be back to do videos. I'll be back to, to do the cards, do the daily vibe check. I do miss them. I just am so overwhelmed right now with so many other things. And that I feel like when I pull cards, I have to be careful, because if I'm in a negative headspace or if I'm in a weird place, the cards will reflect that. And I don't want that. I want them to be genuine. I want the messages to come from spirit, not from my own negativity or my own negative entities that I'm probably inadvertently creating with this anger and hate. So I'm going to keep my distance until I get it all sorted and put into place. And then I'll come back and do some more daily vibe check, if that's okay. All 9 of you. If all 9 of you want me to come back, I will. Okay. So I thought that was interesting, and that you all would find that interesting story. Please stay well. Please treat each other with kindness. And if someone's being a jerk, or if someone's being grouchy or aggressive or seems like they're just really distant, give them grace. I would give anything for grace right now. My brothers don't, and their wives, and they don't, they have zero grace for me. And that's how it's been most of my life. Zero grace for me. And just know that give the grace, but you don't have to stay in the toxicity either. Okay, give grace. Don't be energetically connected to these negative things, and be nice to people. Just be nice to people. We are all energy. We are all spirits, and we are all connected. We are all directly connected to God Himself, the collective conscious. However you want to look at it, we are all connected to each other, to our higher selves, to their higher selves, to angels, and the big collective conscious. We're all connected. And when you do something to try to ruin that connection, eventually you have to pay. Eventually you have people or things to answer to. So keep your vibrations up and make sure to apologize to those people that, we're human. We're going to make mistakes. We're going to have our emotions. We're going to have our times. Just be sure to apologize. Just be sure to recognize your part in things. Ask for grace, but also be sure to give grace. Because after all, you have control over that. If you want to be a certain way, if you want to be on the path to that high vibration, to that really happy place on the other side, you can make yourself get there. But you have to function at a higher level, and you have to be forgiving, and you need to be really try to be a good person. Not perfect. Just do the best you know how at the time. And when you know better, do better. Because you have control of that. So there's my lesson. All right, everybody, all 9 of you, have a fantastic day. I'm going to go make some dinner because I'm kind of hungry and I haven't eaten much for the last few days. So I will see you soon.